How's it going, everyone? Welcome to this video. In this video I'm going to do some Urban Rubble Bases for these miniatures here. What you're seeing is the Vargeist miniatures kit for fantasy, and I use them as Corn Chaos spawns. So I just painted them red and I assembled them in such a way that they look like spawns instead of vampires or just crypt horrors, and we'll get to it. So the materials that I'm going to use for the bases are other than the brushes, the paints and the glues and the sand, I'm going to use an E-string for using it as like a power cable or something like that. And I bought all of these in a hobby shop around my area. These are strip styrene, different sorts of materials. This is just a rectangular shape. Here you can see the dimensions so that you can look for it in your area if you have any hobby shops. I figured that I could buy these to just cut them in at the length that I want it and do bricks. Instead of buying pre-made bricks, I can do my own like that. This is a cylindrical sort of tube to represent pipes and stuff like that. And the last one is the I-beam to represent structural steel reinforcements and stuff like that that you can put on the ground. So there you go. The sizes are pretty much, I eyeballed them. I didn't really take measurements or anything. I just bought the size that I thought that I would use, and that's it. So we're gonna start. So yeah, I'm going to grab one of these rectangular beams, and I'm going to start cutting bricks with it. So what I discovered is you have to take it slow, so that you cut just as straight as you can with your sprue cutters, and just pretty much do some random shape. I mean, not random, but shape that you think is good for a brick, and then try to copy it many times. You don't need as many to lay on your base. You only need like 3 or 4, or if you want more, then sure, but I'm going to use a lot of stuff, so just pretty much eyeball it. And it doesn't matter that the edges aren't completely straight. They'll add a little bit of character to the base. So I ended up choosing all these pieces for my base. I'm going to use a piece of pipe, as I described in the beginning. I cut a couple pieces of I-beam. I got some bricks to lay on the base in some random places, and just a little piece of string just to like add to the debris, like a power cable or something like that. So for this I'm going to use super glue. You can use any super glue that you want. This is the fast curing super glue, and I'm going to start with the bricks because I think that's the easiest one to do. And I'm going to pick a spot to lay the bricks on. I'm going to put a blob of super glue there, and then start laying them on as I see fit. So I'm gonna put this one here, and I don't think I'm gonna use that many, maybe 2 or 3. That adds a lot of character to the base itself. Then maybe I can just go ahead and use an I-beam, just a little piece of I-beam. I don't want to obscure that skull right there, so I'm going to lay it somewhere around here. Maybe beside those bricks would be a good idea. So I'm going to put some more super glue in that place where I'm planning to do it. And as you can see, I bent it a little bit just to make it look like it's wrecked. You can do that as long as you don't apply too much pressure and you don't bend it too much. It won't break, but be careful because it breaks. So I'm gonna put it laying like that, a little slanted to the side. That's fine. Piece of string, of guitar string. I don't know where I want to lay this. But you can make all those kinds of decisions yourself. I'm gonna try to put it like that in there. So this one I'm going to actually put the super glue on the string and then lay it flat on the ground like that. There we go. Maybe I won't use the pipe, but just because I bought it and I wanted to show it, I'm gonna cut it short, and I think I'm gonna put it sticking out from the ground somewhere. Or you know what? I'm gonna lay it down because reasons. You can try to stand it up, but I have limited space here when I'm working, and I just want to make it look random. So that'll be it. That'll be my base, and then you have to let it dry for maybe 30-40 minutes, just to make sure that the super glue is cured, and then move on with the paint job. For this video I'm also going to use pigments, so you can use any pigments that you want. You can use art store pigments or whatever you like. I have some secret weapon pigments, one Vallejo pigment, and I have Pigment Binder. This is pretty good. I was a little skeptical about using this. I didn't think it'll look as good as it looks, but here you can see what I'm using. This one's pretty good. You should get it if you're using pigments. And I think I'm only going to use a couple because the base is going to be very dark already. It's going to be dark gray, so I'm going to leave these two aside. I'll maybe use it on a bigger base, but these small bases I'm going to use these two, I think, or maybe just one to represent oxide, or maybe these two for oxide and one for the earth, and that's it. Alright, next I'm going to use surface primer from Vallejo, as I said. This is a brush-on primer, or you can use it in an airbrush. I think it's more for an airbrush, but it's pretty good. It's a pretty good primer by brush, so I'm gonna do that, and I'm going to try and paint the whole base. I forgot to stick the base to something so that it would be easier for me to show you, but here I'm kind of improvising, and I'm going to start painting all of these things with this primer. Alright, now that that's done and dry, I'm going to use basalt gray. And this I'm going to use it just watered down just a little bit so that it gets into the cracks and stuff. And I'm going to cover the whole thing. Just remember to let dry the previous layer of primer, and just cover the whole thing with this. So it'll be pretty simple. It doesn't really matter if you get into places that you want to be a different color. You can paint them afterwards, because we're going to be using a wash and all that stuff. Alright, next I'm going to use neutral gray. By the way, basalt gray can be substituted by mechanic standard gray, and neutral gray can be substituted by I think it's downstone. So this color I'm just using it to paint the other concrete parts other than the ground. Paint all the rocks and stuff like that, just to make them different from the ground. In real life they might look the same color, but this is a miniature and we want to be able to distinguish the different parts. Alright, next I'm going to use Nuln oil, and I'm going to cover the whole base with this color. This is gonna create all the shadows and define all of the edges around the model. So make sure to wait until the model is dry before applying this. So you can then clean up. I think I'm going to clean up the brighter bricks because they're not showing too different as I remember doing it before. I did a couple bases like this, one for my Bloodthirster and a test one, and I liked it a lot, so I kind of know what I'm doing, but I would like the bricks and stones to look darker, so I'm going to clean them up after the wash. So just apply this all over once that's done, and dry, I'm going to go ahead and use some sky gray, which would be somewhere close to administratum gray. And I'm going to use a paper towel to dry brush to work the paint onto my paintbrush, and then I'm going to dry brush the whole thing with this color. Try to have very minimal paint on the brush. Trying to get all the edges on these bricks. If you paint a little bit too much, that's fine. This is gonna add to the base. But I'm using a round brush because I'm trying to be a little bit more precise where I dry brush instead of dry brushing the whole thing. I could use a flat brush if the miniature wasn't on the way, and I don't want to paint the miniature with this gray color or the skull that is laying beside the feet. Now that that's done, I'm going to use lead belcher, and with this color and a smaller brush I'm going to paint all of the places that I want to be metallic silver. So I'm gonna pick the I-beam and the cable that's laying on the ground. So just kind of carefully just paint this part. Take your time. Alright, next I'm going to use Balthasar Gold. And with this color I'm going to paint the pipe just to make it look like a piece of like coppery pipe laying on the ground. So we can weather it further, or you can leave it like that if you want. I'm going to give it a wash after this. Alright, next I'm going to use Agrax Earthshade. Make sure that when you use a shade you shake it well before you open it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to just shade these places that I painted metallic to make them look a little bit more dirty and old. Also, we're gonna take away some of the shine. That's fine. We're just trying to define all those little shadows in those places. I'm not gonna bother to highlight it further. I'm just gonna go and use the powders after this, just because I don't want the base to take away from the miniature. If the base has a lot of detail, then maybe it'll draw the attention away from the models, so that's okay if you want to do that. I'm not gonna bother. So now I'm going to show you how to use the pigment. So I'm gonna use the Pigment Binder, and I'm going to get a brush full of this stuff. I do shake it just to make sure that it's evenly distributed, that it doesn't separate. I don't think that you should, because it creates bubbles. But just to make sure that the pigment is working well, I'm just going to shake it and then deal with the bubbles afterwards. Just in the few times I've used it, I haven't seen any bubbles in my miniatures. So here I'm going to use a sculpting tool, the flat end, and I'm going to use my dark earth. With this pigment, I'm just gonna grab a little bit of it, and I'm going to lay it beside the little pile of pigment fixer that I just prepared. So then I'm just gonna mix them together. The pigment is kind of hard to get away from your palette, and it stains every other color that you're gonna use in the future, so be careful with that. Just clean up your palette after using pigment, or have a designated palette to use it with. So here it is. Here's what I did. I think it wasn't in the shot, I'm sorry, but pretty much use this and just spread it around in random places in your base, just to create some dirt and effects like that. If it's too strong, you can use a little bit of the fixer or water to spread it out and thin it out a little bit more. For example, I'm not too happy with the way it looks here. I'm gonna use a little bit of water and spread that pigment out just to soften the edges and make it look a little bit more natural or something. And that's it. That's pretty much it. I'm just going to pick some random patches as if it was static grass or something like that, and put some of this pigment to look like dirt in the ground. So that's it. Less is more, so I'm not going to use a lot of it, but that's pretty much it. Alright, next I'm going to use the rust red. This is a red pigment. Any red pigment that you like as a rust red you can use. I'm going to do the same thing that I did with my previous pigment, and I'm going to apply it onto the iron. Just try to, that's a little bit too thick, so just try to spread it out. This is gonna be a base rust kind of color, so don't worry too much. Rust looks orange more than red, but having a red base will look pretty good because you need that like variety of tones of reds and oranges to make a good rust, in my opinion. So there we go. Just pretty quickly, just apply some red, and if it's too strong you can spread it out with water. Alright, now finally I'm going to use Terracotta earth. And this is a brown, but it's as close as orange that I have. If you use an orange or a kind of orangey brown like I'm doing, it's gonna look good. So just try to apply this over the red, try to cover it, and make some patches of orange on their own. Leave a little bit of the red showing, that'll give some variety to the rust, but try to make it uneven and a little bit random. Next, as you may know, copper and other metals like that rust in like green colors, so I'm going to use nihilate oxide. This is a pigment inside of a solution, I think. That's the impression that it gave me from the first time I used it. Just shake it well and just lightly dab some of this color into the copper. Don't make it super obvious because I don't want this to stop looking a little bit coppery. So I'm just going to spread it out as much as I can, just to give it that little green tint as if it's old copper, but still looking a little bit like copper. So that's it. And to finish it up, I'm just going to color the edges of the base with Escape and Blight Dinch. This is a slightly, I don't know if it's warm or has a little bit of green gray. It's slightly different than the Mechanical Standard Gray or the, the Basalt Gray. I think Mechanical Standard Gray is a little bit darker, but I'm not sure about that. You can also use Eshin Gray, or maybe a darker blue, bluer gray, like Dark Reaper. That's a pretty good one. I'm gonna go with this one just to make it look a little bit different, and to stick with the gray tone of the theme of the base. So this is the way it looks in the end. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. I find this to be a lot easier than spending a lot of money on pre-made resin cast. The resins have the advantage that they are a little bit heavier and look cooler, but this is a very good alternative, and the extra styrene pieces do give the model a little bit more weight than they used to, and it looks pretty good. I think I like it a lot, and I hope you do too. The pigment fixer takes a little bit of time to completely dry, so give it some time. If at the end you decided that it looks too glossy, you can use a little bit of lemon medium to tone it down, but I don't think that will be a problem. You can use as much stuff to clutter the base as you'd like. I think this is a good example. I think this is just enough that it looks cool and it doesn't look too cluttered, and I like it a lot. Hope you do too. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you liked it. Like it, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you on the next video.
You stayed. Great. Thank you very much for watching my video, and if you would like to further support my channel, you can become my Patreon on Patreon. You can pledge as little as $1 a month, and you are helping me create more and better content. If you can't, that's fine, because you're helping my channel a lot just for watching and sharing, but you can read all of the details if you follow the link in the description below. I hope you can spare $1 to make this hobby of mine a job for which I can get paid. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the next video.